In the corner of my childhood backyard, hidden beneath the shade of an old dogwood tree, stands a wooden cross with no name carved upon it. For 60 years, neighbors walked past it, assuming it was nothing more than a grave for a family pet. But they were wrong. That cross marks the final resting place of a woman who was born into silk and gold, yet died in rags solely to save her daughter's life. My name is Sadie. I am 78 years old, and for a lifetime, I have guarded the secret of the woman lying beneath that soil. She was no sinner, nor was she a criminal. She was simply a mother forced to make a choice that no woman on this earth should ever have to bear. Today, I am digging up that past. But before we begin, I have a question for you. Where in the world are you listening to this story from? And how far would you be willing to go to save your own child? Leave a comment below, and please, press the like button so this story of ultimate sacrifice can reach even more hearts. When I think back to those times, I can still smell the cured leather that stuck to my daddy's skin, the taste of the cornbread that Mama sold at the farmer's market, and the cold of that winter night that seemed to come through the holes in the wall of our shack. We lived in a rickety wooden cabin in the backwoods of Missouri, where you could only hear the owl hooting at dawn and the sound of the wind rustling through the dry leaves. My daddy, Mr. Jesse, was a saddler. He spent the whole day sewing harnesses, fixing saddles and gear for the ranchers in the region. His hands were thick, full of calluses, always with that strong smell of cured leather that wouldn't come off even with 3 baths in the creek. He worked silently, serious, one of those men of few words where you never quite knew what he was thinking. Mama, Mrs. Sarah, was the opposite. She talked a mile a minute, laughed loud, sang while she scrubbed clothes in the wash tub, washed clothes for others, and still made cornbread to sell at the market on Saturdays. Her hands were always red and swollen, but she never complained. She said that work dignifies and that God sees everyone's effort. We were dirt poor. The shack had 3 tiny rooms, a dirt floor, and walls with cracks that let in wind and rain. I slept on a pallet on the floor, covered with a quilt that Mama had sewn from scraps. But Mama always said that at a poor man's table, even water turns to soup when there is love. I was small back then, skinny, with 2 braids Mama made every morning. I wore a patched cotton dress and walked barefoot because shoes were a luxury. My job was to fetch water from the creek, help hang out the clothes, and take care of the skinny chickens in the yard. It was on a freezing Friday in winter that everything changed. The sky had darkened early, loaded with heavy clouds. The wind blew hard, making the old door slam. Mama had lit the kerosene lamp. We were sitting around the crooked little table, eating pork and beans with fried rinds. The smell of that food filled the whole kitchen, mixed with the smoke from the firewood. Daddy ate in silence, focused on his plate. Mama ate slowly, putting little pieces of rind on my plate without me asking. Suddenly, there were 3 strong knocks on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Dry, urgent, desperate. Mama dropped her fork. Her face went white. Daddy stopped with his spoon in the air, looking at the door. At that time of night, with a storm brewing, no one knocked on anyone's door. It could be a thief, people running from the sheriff, or a lost soul. You can almost feel the tension in that room, can't you? In those days, a knock on the door after dark didn't just mean a visitor. It meant danger was standing on the porch, waiting to test this family's faith in ways they never imagined. "Don't open that door, woman," Daddy spoke with a hard voice. "Must be a drifter wanting to come in to rob us." But Mama had already gotten up. I saw her wipe her hands on her apron. She pulled her shawl close and walked to the creaking door. My heart beat so fast in my chest I thought it was going to come out of my mouth. Mama opened it slowly. The wind came in with force, almost blowing out the flame of the kerosene lamp. And there, under that downpour, was a woman. She was soaked, black hair stuck to her face, lips purple from the cold, shivering. She wore a simple dress torn at the hem, bare feet covered in mud. But what scared me most was the belly. A huge, giant belly that looked like it was going to explode. The woman held her belly with both hands, hunched over, face twisted in pain. For the love of the good Lord, she managed to speak, her voice so weak it was almost inaudible. "Let me in just until this storm passes. I can't walk anymore." Daddy jumped up. The chair fell over. "No, Sarah, don't even think about it. That woman will bring trouble to our house. But Mama didn't even look back. She simply reached out her arm, grabbed that soaked woman's wrist, and pulled her inside with a strength I didn't even know she had. The woman almost fell, leaning on the wall as the thunder shook the house. Mama closed the door with force, locking the wind and rain outside, and turned to Daddy with that firm look, full of determination. "In this house of God, no one dies of cold on my doorstep, Jesse," Mama said slowly, each word weighing like a stone. "Could be anyone, but a Christian doesn't let another Christian die out in the rain." Silence fell heavy. You could hear the dripping of water running off the woman's dress. Daddy stood still, fists clenched, but he said nothing more. He knew Mama well enough to know that when she spoke in that tone, there was no arguing. The woman lifted her head slowly, and, for the first time, I could see her face properly. She was young, beautiful, despite the paleness, with big brown eyes full of tears. But there was something else in that face. There was fear, a deep fear of someone fleeing from something very bad. "Thank you so much, ma'am," she whispered, clutching her belly, face contorted with pain. "God will reward your kindness. I promise I won't be any trouble. I'll leave here as soon as the rain stops." Mama shook her head and went to get the pot of water that was on the wood stove. She poured it into a bucket, took a clean cloth, and started drying that woman as if she were a lost child. "What is your name, child?" "Emily," she answered softly, trembling. "My name is Emily." "Emily who?" Daddy asked suspiciously, still standing with his arms crossed. But Emily didn't answer. She just lowered her head, bit her lip, and stayed silent. And in that silence, I already knew. That woman was hiding something big, something dangerous, something that had made her end up at our door, in the middle of a storm, ready to pop, alone in the world. Mama took the patchwork quilt, which was the only spare we had, and wrapped Emily in it. "You're going to sleep here in the kitchen tonight, near the stove, so you don't catch a chill. Tomorrow God will show the way. Sarah, for the love of God." Daddy tried again, but his voice was already weaker, more tired. Mama looked at him, and in that look was everything. Kindness, stubbornness, faith. "Jesse, if it were our daughter out there in the rain, knocking on a stranger's door, wouldn't you want someone to open it?" Daddy didn't answer. He just turned his back, took his straw hat, and went out into the rain, slamming the door. He went to cool off in the shed, where he kept the tools, as he always did when he was angry but knew he wasn't right. Mama heated a mug of mint tea with honey, took a piece of cornbread, and put it in Emily's hand. "Eat slowly, child, then you lie down and rest." Emily held that mug with trembling hands, eyes full of tears. "You are an angel, Mrs. Sarah, a real angel." Mama smiled tiredly, stroked Emily's wet hair, and replied softly, "No angel, my child. Just a mother who knows what suffering is." And that was how Emily entered our lives on that cold winter night, bringing with her a secret that was going to turn everything upside down. In that moment, while I looked at that woman huddled near the stove, shivering under the patchwork quilt, I didn't imagine that night was going to change not only her life, but mine too. I didn't know that pregnant and frightened woman held a truth so big, so painful, that when it came to light, it would teach us the real meaning of family and forgiveness. When the sun rose the next morning, the rain had stopped, but the sky was still heavy. I remember waking up to the smell of wood burning in the stove and the noise of Mama stirring the pots. I got up from my pallet, pulled on my old dress, and went to the kitchen. Emily was there, sitting on a little stool near the stove, wrapped in the quilt, face pale as candle wax. The huge belly made her hunch forward, breathing deep as if every breath took effort. Mama was frying bacon in the iron skillet, and the smell filled the whole kitchen. She turned when she saw me, gave that tired smile, and waved for me to sit at the table. "Good morning, my daughter. Come here. Come have your breakfast." Emily lifted her head slowly and looked at me. Her eyes were swollen and red, as if she had spent the night crying. But when she saw me, she tried to smile. "Good morning, little girl. What is your name?" "Sadie," I replied, feeling shy and hiding behind Mama's skirt. "Sadie, what a beautiful name." Emily spoke, and I saw a tear run down her face. "I had a sister named Sadie. Haven't seen her in a long time." Mama put a plate in front of me. There was cornbread, bacon, and a mug of watered-down milk. It was what we had, but I saw Mama separate a larger portion and take it to Emily with great care. Eat, child. You need to nourish yourself. Emily took the plate with trembling hands and started crying again. It was that silent crying of someone suffering inside. You don't even know me, Mrs. Sarah. You don't know where I came from, and yet you're sharing the bread from your mouth with a stranger. I don't deserve such kindness. Mama crouched in front of her, held that wet face with two calloused hands, and looked right into Emily's eyes. Child, everyone deserves kindness. Everyone deserves a hand reached out when they're down on the ground. As long as you need, you can stay. At that moment, Daddy entered through the back door. He had spent the night in the shed and came in with a sour face, hair messy, shirt wrinkled, eyes red from tiredness. He looked at Emily, looked at Mama, and said nothing. Just sat and started eating in silence. The atmosphere got heavy. Daddy chewed slowly, looking at his plate, jaw locked. Mama pretended she didn't notice anything and continued stirring the pots, humming softly. "And when do you intend to leave?" Daddy asked suddenly, voice dry. Emily gulped. "As soon as I can get up, Mr. Jesse. I know I'm in the way. I don't want to be a burden to anyone." "You aren't going anywhere in this state," Mama cut in quickly, turning with the wooden spoon in her hand. "That baby is about to be born any moment. You want to give birth in the middle of the road?" Daddy slammed his fork on the plate with force. "Sarah, for the love of God, we barely have enough to eat, and you want us to support 2 more mouths? We'll find a way, Jesse. We always have," Mama replied firmly. "God never let our daily bread be missing." I saw Emily lower her head, tears dripping onto the plate. Her hands shook so much the fork fell on the floor. She tried to bend down to pick it up, but her belly wouldn't let her. It was me who jumped from the chair and picked up the fork for her. "Thank you, little girl," she whispered, stroking my head with affection. Daddy got up without finishing eating, took his straw hat, and left, slamming the door. I heard the noise of tools in the shed, the strong, violent hammering. Mama sighed deeply, leaned her hands on the edge of the stove, looking at the window. "Mr. Jesse is a good man, Emily. He's afraid, that's all. Afraid of not being able to support the family, but his heart is good." Emily nodded but said nothing. She stayed there sitting, picking at the food without eating properly, lost in thought. It was on this day that I started observing Emily for real. During the whole morning, while Mama washed clothes and I swept the yard, Emily stayed sitting in the shade of the oak tree. She looked at the green hills that surrounded us as if she were looking for something or running from some memory that hurt too much. Her hands were different. They were thin, delicate hands with nails clean and well cut. They weren't hands of someone who washed clothes, hoed the garden, or carried weight. On her finger, a gold wedding ring shone when the sun hit it thick, crafted, expensive. The dress she wore, even though torn and dirty with mud, was of good fabric, better than anything Mama had, and the way she spoke, pronouncing words correctly without dropping letters, showed she had studied, had an education. "Mama," I called softly, while helping to wring out the wet sheets. "That lady ain't poor like us, is she?" Mama stopped scrubbing, looked at me, and nodded slowly. "No, she ain't, my daughter. Emily is from a good family. Anyone can see that. But something very bad happened to her for her to be here the way she is. And aren't you scared, Mama? Daddy said it could be dangerous." Mama dropped the cloth, dried her hands on her soaked apron, and crouched in front of me. She held my face with 2 cold hands and spoke, looking right into my eyes. "Daughter, there are things we know in our heart without needing explanation." When I looked into that lady's eyes, I saw a mother, a terrified mother, desperate, alone in the world. And a mother doesn't abandon a mother, understand? I nodded, even without understanding properly. I was too small to comprehend those grown-up things. In the late afternoon, Emily started moaning softly. She held her belly tight, face contorted, sweat running down her forehead. Mama dropped everything and ran to her. "Feeling pain, child? It's tightening down here, Mrs. Sarah," Emily moaned, tears running down. "I think the baby wants to be born." Mama went white but didn't lose her head. "Sadie, run and get Miss Dorothy. Run like the wind. Say there's a woman about to give birth here at the house." I ran out of that yard, with my heart beating fast, barefoot, eating up the ground, jumping rocks, dodging holes. Miss Dorothy lived far away, on the other side of the creek, and I knew I had to run fast if I wanted to get there in time. And while I ran, with the sun already setting, painting the sky orange and red, I thought about that mysterious woman. I thought about the baby that was going to be born without having a father nearby, without having a home, without having anything. I thought about Mama with that heart the size of the world, opening doors for whoever needed it, even without having almost anything to give. And something inside me, even being so young, already knew that story hadn't started on that stormy night. That story came from far away, brought buried secrets that were going to explode in our faces when we least expected it. The dirt road was full of puddles, and I jumped them all without stopping, feeling my legs burning with tiredness. The cold wind hit my face, but I couldn't stop. There was a woman at home needing help, and I was the only one who could fetch help. When I arrived at Miss Dorothy's house, I banged on the door so hard my hand hurt. The old midwife opened it, startled, with that apron stained with old blood, gray hair tied in a hard bun. "What is it, girl? What despair is this?" "There's a woman at home, Miss Dorothy. She's about to have a baby. You have to come now." Miss Dorothy didn't waste time, grabbed the cloth bag where she kept her things, scissors, string, clean cloths, and followed me on the path back. She was old but walked fast, slippers dragging on the dirt, breathing heavy. When we arrived home, it had already gotten dark. The lamp was lit in the kitchen, and you could hear Emily's moans from outside. They were moans that made my whole spine shiver, moans of deep pain, of suffering that had no end. Mama was by her side, holding Emily's hand, wiping the sweat from her forehead with a damp cloth. Daddy had disappeared, probably gone to the shed again, because men in those times didn't stay near a woman giving birth. "Time has come, Sadie," Mama said when she saw me at the door with Miss Dorothy. "Go fetch clean water from the creek, plenty of water, and put it to boil on the stove." I spent the whole night coming and going, carrying water, heating pots, washing cloths, and while I worked, I heard Emily's screams echoing through the whole house, screams that seemed to tear the night to pieces. It was almost dawn when the baby's cry finally broke the silence. A thin, weak cry, but one that sounded like celestial music to my tired ears. Miss Dorothy entered that kitchen like a gale, dropped the cloth bag on the table, washed her hands in the basin, and went straight to examine Emily. The old midwife had seen so many children born in her life that she already knew from afar when the labor was going to be long or fast. "This baby is coming soon, Mrs. Sarah," she announced after feeling Emily's belly. "But the girl is too weak, no strength. Needs to drink something hot, strong tea, to give spirit." Mama ran to prepare guava leaf tea with honey, while I stood there in a corner, frightened by the moans Emily let out. They were moans that came from deep down, that made her whole body contort, hands gripping the back of the chair until her knuckles turned white. "Sadie, go to sleep," Mama ordered when she saw I was there watching everything. Children don't need to see these things, but how was I going to manage to sleep, hearing those screams? I went to my pallet, covered my head with the quilt, but the sounds came through the thin wall, as if there was nothing between the kitchen and the back room. I heard Miss Dorothy giving orders, Mama running from one side to the other, and Emily begging for mercy. I don't know how much time passed. Seemed like an eternity. The sky was clearing slowly, that gray that comes before the sun rises, and Emily's screams were getting sharper, more desperate, until suddenly a heavy silence fell over the house. My heart froze. I thought she had died, that the baby had died, that some tragedy had happened. I lay there, holding my breath, waiting, scared to move, and then came that thin, weak cry. But it was a baby's cry, a cry that announced new life in that poor shack in that cold dawn. I jumped from the pallet and ran to the kitchen. Emily was lying on the floor on some old cloths Mama had laid out, face white as paper, eyes closed, breathing slowly. Miss Dorothy was washing a tiny creature in a basin of warm water, and that little thing kicked and cried with a strength I didn't imagine something so small could have. "It's a girl," Miss Dorothy announced, wrapping the baby in a clean cloth. "Tiny, but seems healthy. Came in a hurry to see the world." Mama took the child in her arms with that care of someone holding a sacred thing. She got close to Emily and put the baby on her chest. Emily opened her eyes slowly, looked at that red and wrinkled little thing, and started to cry. But it was a different cry from the ones she had let out all night long. It was a cry of relief, of love, of gratitude. In the midst of that storm, a bond was forged that was stronger than blood. But as little Harper took her first breath, no one knew that her very existence would soon bring a different kind of storm, one that no roof could protect them from. Listen to what happens next. She is perfect, Emily whispered, voice weak, hoarse. My Harper. My little Harper. Mama smiled, stroked Emily's sweaty hair, and nodded. Harper. Beautiful name. May God bless this child and make her a strong woman of faith, Miss. Dorothy finished cleaning everything, left instructions for Mama on how to care for Emily in the coming days, and left when the sun was already high. Daddy had appeared quickly, taken a look at the baby, grumbled something unintelligible, and gone back to the shed. Emily stayed in bed for days. She was weak, pale, with a fever that came and went. Mama took care of her as if she were bloodkin, changed the cloths, gave herbal baths, prepared chicken broth with the skinny chickens from our yard, which were only for eating on feast days. I helped where I could. I rocked Harper when she cried, rocked her in my lap, trying to imitate the movements I saw Mama do. Harper was a small baby, but cried loud, cried when she was hungry, cried when she was wet, cried when she wanted to be held. And Emily, even sick, even weak, never let the girl cry long, took her to her breast, nursed even with pain. She sang those little songs softly that I had never heard before, songs of city folks, different from ours. It was during these days that I started noticing more things. Emily had nightmares every night, woke up screaming, cold sweating, looking at the door, as if expecting someone to enter at any moment. She jumped at any noise of a horse on the road, got tense when she heard unknown voices, hid the gold wedding ring under the pillow when she lay down to sleep. Mrs. Sarah. I heard her ask one afternoon, when she thought I was sleeping, "Do you think I'm safe here?" Safe from what, Emily? There was a long silence. Then, Emily spoke so low I could barely hear, "From those who want to take my Harper from me." Mama didn't answer right away. I heard the noise of her pulling the chair, sitting near the bed where Emily was. "Who wants to take your baby from you?" His family. The rich, powerful family, who thinks I'm no good, that my Harper is a shame, that needs to be hidden. You were married to him. Was married 3 years, but his family never accepted me. Said I wasn't on their level, that he had married down. When I got pregnant, I thought things would get better, but everything got worse. They wanted me to get rid of the baby, to disappear, to vanish as if I had never existed. I felt my chest tighten hearing that. Emily wasn't a loose woman, like Daddy had imagined. She was a legitimate wife, with a ring on her finger, but who had been rejected by her own husband's family, just for not being rich like them. "And your husband, where is he?" Emily sobbed. "He chose the family, chose the money, the name, the position. Sent me away in the middle of the night, put cash in my hand and said for me to disappear. But I won't let them take my Harper. I'll die first." Mama stayed quiet for a long time, then said with that firm voice I knew, "No one is going to take that girl from you while I have life. You can rest easy." The weeks passed. Emily was recovering her strength slowly, started helping Mama with the house chores, washed clothes, even with her hands still weak. She swept the yard with Harper tied on her back with a cloth, cooked rice and beans while singing softly to the girl. Harper grew beautiful. Eyes were clear, leaning towards green, brown hair starting to grow thin. She was a calm baby when satisfied, but mischievous when she wanted attention. I had become the official nanny, lived with her in my lap, making funny faces to see her smile. Daddy was softening little by little. I saw him looking at Harper secretly, making faces when he thought no one was watching. Once I caught him holding the girl, talking to her in a low voice, saying she was going to grow up strong, despite everything. It was around this time I realized Emily had become part of the family. She wasn't the stranger who had knocked on the door desperate anymore. She was Emily, the girl who lived with us, who shared the chores, who laughed at Mama's jokes, who helped with sewing at night. But even so, that fear never left her eyes, that fear that one day someone would come to get what she loved most in the world. And as life teaches, sometimes our deepest fears become reality when we least expect it. Months passed, and life took on a rhythm that almost seemed normal. Emily had become a constant presence in our routine, so much so that sometimes I forgot she hadn't been part of the household forever. Harper was growing fast. Already sat up by herself, already reached out her little arms when she saw someone known, already let out those little squeals of joy when I tickled her little belly. The poverty remained the same. But now we were 5 mouths sharing the little there was. Daddy worked double, took every harness repair job that appeared, came back late at night with hands bleeding from sewing hard leather so much. Mama washed clothes until her fingers were raw flesh, and Emily helped in everything she could, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the house as if she were the owner of it. I had learned to carry Harper on my back, tied with a cloth, just like the women did in the fields. I went to fetch water from the creek with the girl sleeping on my back, tiny and warm like a little bird. Sometimes she woke up in the middle of the way and pulled my hair, laughing in that way only a small child knows how to laugh, without malice, without worry. It was on an afternoon that everything started to change. The sun was hot, in that way that made the earth crack and the air get heavy. I was in the yard helping Mama hang out clothes when I saw a rider stop in front of our shack. It was a tall man, dressed in good cowboy clothes, mounted on a beautiful buckskin horse that must have cost more than our whole house. He stood there, looking at the shack, as if he were looking for something, then got off the horse slowly, tied it to the fence post, and started walking toward the front door. Mama dropped the wet clothes on the line and ran over there. "Can I help you, sir?" The man took off his hat, ran his hand through his sweaty hair, and spoke with a deep voice. "Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm looking for a girl. Black hair, brown eyes, must have a tiny baby with her. Someone said she might be around these parts." I felt my blood freeze in my veins. I looked back and saw Emily standing in the kitchen door, white as a flour sack, holding Harper in her lap so tight the girl started to cry. Mama didn't hesitate a second. "No, sir. No one here with that description. Only me, my husband, and my granddaughter live here." She pointed to me naturally, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The man looked around suspiciously, eyes searching every corner of the yard. "Are you sure, ma'am?" "Because the person who told me said they saw a pregnant woman coming in here some months ago. Refined girl. From a good family. Runaway. Must be mistaken, mister. Only poor folks here. Field workers. No one from a good family passes through these parts." Mama answered firmly, planted in front of him, like a fence that cannot be crossed. The man stood looking at Mama for a time that seemed eternal, then put his hat back on his head and nodded. "If you happen to see a girl like that, good to let us know. There's a good reward for whoever gives information. The family has been looking for her for a long time. You can leave it to me. If I see her, I'll let you know." Mama lied without blinking. The man mounted the horse and left, kicking up dust on the road. But before disappearing around the bend, he looked back one last time, as if he didn't quite believe the story Mama had told. That was a close call, folks. Mama Sarah just risked everything to protect a stranger, but that cowboy's lingering look tells us this game of hide and seek is far from over. The secrets buried in this shack are about to be unearthed. When the sound of the horse's hooves disappeared in the distance, Mama ran into the shack. Emily was sitting on the kitchen floor, hugging Harper, crying so much her whole body shook. "They found me. They found me. Mrs. Sarah, they're going to take my Harper from me." Mama knelt in front of her, held Emily's shoulders firmly. "No one is going to take anything from anyone. But you need to tell me the whole truth now. Who are these people? How much power do they have?" Emily wiped her tears with the back of her hand, took a deep breath, trying to calm down, and started to speak. "My husband, he is the son of Mr. Arthur, owner of half the region near here, land, cattle, businesses, everything you can imagine. The family has power to do whatever they want. No one goes against them." "And why did they kick you out if you were legally married?" "Because I'm the daughter of a Portuguese shopkeeper, Mrs. Sarah. My father had a fabric store in the city. But for my husband's family I was small stuff, people with no name, no tradition. When I married, his mother made it very clear that I was only tolerated, that I had to prove my worth. When I got pregnant, I thought I had proved it. But they didn't want a grandchild mixed with shopkeeper blood, wanted me to disappear with the shame." Mama shook her head, face hard with anger. "Rich folks think they can do what they want with other people's lives. But forget one thing. Here you aren't alone anymore. Here you have family." That night, Daddy arrived home and Mama told him everything. I saw my father's face get red with anger, veins in his neck bulging out. "I knew it. I knew that woman was going to bring trouble to us, Mr. Arthur. Sarah, do you know who that man is? He can take even this land we live on, can finish us. So, you think we should hand over Emily and the girl? Mama asked, voice low, but loaded with something dangerous. Daddy opened his mouth to answer, but no sound came out. He looked at Harper sleeping in Emily's lap, that innocent little thing who had no blame for anything, and I saw his face soften. It's not that, Sarah, but we need to think. We don't have money to fight against powerful people. We don't have money, but we have dignity. And dignity isn't sold nor handed over, Mama replied, turning her back to him and going to tend the pots on the stove. In the following days, that rider's visit changed everything. Emily lived hidden inside the house, didn't come out even to the yard anymore. When she heard noise of a horse on the road, she ran to the back room with Harper, hid under the bed until she was sure the danger had passed. Mama started inventing stories for the neighbors, said that Emily was a distant cousin, who had been widowed, who had come to live with us so as not to be alone. The neighbors believed because no one doubted Mrs. Sarah, a woman known for being honest and true to her word. But I saw the fear growing inside the house, like weeds taking over everything. Saw it in Emily's dark circles, who didn't sleep right anymore. In Harper's scares, who cried more than normal. In Mama's tension, who lived looking at the road expecting tragedy to arrive. The fear was a cold blanket over our small, crowded house. But worse than the fear was the secret. A secret is a heavy thing, especially for a child. It didn't just hide under the floorboards, it hid in my chest, a tight knot I couldn't breathe around. I was only a little girl, but I had to learn to live with my face a lie. I had to practice looking at the man in the gray suit and saying, "No one here," without my eyes giving Emily away. Every time Harper smiled, a warm, bright burst of innocence, I felt the sharp ache of the truth I was guarding. I was no longer just Sadie, the little girl who fetched water. I was the guardian of a mother's sacrifice, and that role stole my childhood in one swift, silent beat. My small hands might have been patched and calloused from work, but my soul was bruised from the weight of knowing a truth that could destroy us all. We were poor, but now we were burdened by a wealth far heavier than Mr. Arthur's gold. The wealth of a secret too precious to be lost. And Daddy, despite all the fear and complaining, started doing something that surprised me. He took some old boards he had kept in the shed and started building a hiding place under the floorboards of the back room. A deep hole where an adult person and a baby fit, covered with a loose board that stayed hidden under the pallet where I slept. "If folks come looking, Emily hides here with the girl," he explained to Mama one night, voice low, so as not to wake anyone. "We say there's no one. Let them search the whole house. They won't find them." Mama looked at that hole in the floor, then looked at her husband with eyes full of tears, and did something she rarely did. Hugged him tight, hiding her face in his chest. "You are a good man, Jesse. Stubborn, brute, but good." And that was how we prepared for the war that was to come. A war between poor with nothing and rich with everything. A war where the prize was an innocent child who only wanted her mother's lap. 2 weeks passed after the rider's visit. 2 weeks living with our hearts in our mouths, jumping at any different noise. Emily almost didn't leave the back room, and Harper was finding everything strange, crying more, sleeping poorly. It was on a hot afternoon that hell knocked on our door for real. I was at the creek fetching water when I saw dust rising far away on the road. It wasn't dust from just one horse. It was dust from many horses, or a big wagon, something from folks coming in a group. I dropped the water tin on the bank and took off running to the shack, bare feet eating up ground like a rabbit running from a dog. "Mama, Mama, people coming, lots of people." Mama was in the yard beating clothes on the rock. When she saw me yelling like that, she dropped everything and ran inside the house. "Emily, into the hole now." Emily was nursing Harper near the stove, went white, grabbed the girl in her arms in a jump, and ran to the back room. Heard the noise of boards being lifted, the creak of old wood, and then silence. Mama arranged the pallet over the hiding place, scattered some old clothes, put even a basket of corn on top to look like it was storage, then grabbed my hand tight and pulled me to the kitchen. "You saw nothing, heard nothing, know nothing. Understand?" I nodded, trembling all over. The black Ford truck stopped in front of the shack, raising a cloud of dust that covered everything. 3 people got out. A tall man in a gray suit, tie, gold watch on his wrist. A lady all in black with a veil on her head, face harder than a hickory trunk. And a younger man, handsome, well-trimmed mustache, dressed in expensive clothes that shone in the sun. Daddy was arriving from the shed when he saw all those people. He stopped in the middle of the yard, took off his hat, and stood waiting for them to get close. You could see he was nervous by the way he held the hat, crushing the brim with his fingers. The man in the suit was the first to speak. "Good afternoon. We are from Mr. Arthur's family. We are looking for a girl named Emily Margaret, married to the boss's son. We have information that she is here." Mama came out of the kitchen wiping her hands on her apron, planted herself beside Daddy. "Good afternoon. Don't know who gave that information to you, sir, but no one here by that name." The lady in black took a step forward, small and hard eyes searching every corner of the yard. "Don't lie to us, woman. Our informant saw her coming in here, saw her pregnant. We know she had the child. We came to get what is ours." "Ours?" Mama repeated, voice going up a tone. "A child isn't a thing to be owned. A child is a human being." The younger man, who until then had stayed quiet, finally spoke. His voice was soft, polite, but cold as ice. "That child is my daughter. I have the right to see her." Mama looked him up and down, and I saw in that look all the contempt she felt. "You are Emily's husband?" "I am Liam, and I came to get my wife and my daughter to take home." "What home?" Mama asked dryly. "The same home that kicked her out pregnant in the middle of the night? The same home that called her a shame? That home?" Liam looked away, cheeks turning red. "There were misunderstandings. My mother was nervous, but now everything is resolved. My wife can return." The lady in black huffed loudly. "Resolved nothing. That woman can return alone if she wants. But the bastard stays. We are going to hand her over to an orphanage in the capital, far from everything and everyone, where no one will know where she came from." It was as if they had thrown kerosene on embers. Mama took a step forward, finger pointed in that woman's face. "You enter my property, call an innocent child a bastard, and think you're going to leave here taking someone. You are very mistaken." The man in the suit put his hand on the lady in black's arm, trying to calm her down. "Let's be calm. No one wants trouble. We just want to resolve this in the best way." "Best way for who?" Daddy spoke for the first time, voice hoarse. "For you who have money and power, or for the mother who will have her daughter ripped from her breast? Where is she?" The lady in black asked directly, ignoring Daddy. "I know she is here. You can search the house." She spoke to the man in the suit. "You have my permission." Mama planted herself in front of the door. "You won't search anything. Here is private property. Get off my land before I call the sheriff." The lady in black let out a dry laugh, humorless. "Sheriff? The law works for my husband. Ignorant woman. Think anyone is going to protect you against Mr. Arthur's family?" It was in that moment that something happened that no one expected. From the back room, from inside that dark hole, under the floorboards, came a cry. Harper's cry, muffled, but unmistakable. Everyone fell silent. The lady in black smiled, a cruel smile that gave me chills. "Hear that? It's the child. She is right here." Oh, folks, I know what you might be thinking. You might blame poor Emily, wondering why she was so foolish. Why didn't she keep the baby quiet? But how can a mother's heart bear the sound of her own baby crying in distress? And more than that, Emily knew those wolves. She knew if she didn't show herself, they'd tear our poor shack apart board by board. She didn't step out to surrender, honey. She stepped out to take the bullet for us. Liam took a step toward the house. "Emily, it's me. Come out. I came to get you." Nothing. Absolute silence. Even Harper had stopped crying, as if she sensed the danger. The man in the suit made a move to enter the house, but Daddy put himself in front of him. "Not going in? Get out of the way, old man. We don't want to hurt anyone, but we are going in one way or another." It was when I heard the creaking of the boards, the sound of someone coming up from the hiding place, and Emily appeared in the kitchen door, pale, trembling, with Harper squeezed against her chest. "Stop," she said, voice firm, despite the visible fear. "Stop this. I don't want you to hurt this family because of me." Liam took a step toward her, eyes shining. "Emily, my love, finally found you." Emily took a step back, squeezing Harper tighter. "Don't come near me. You are nothing to me anymore. You kicked me out like a dog, chose them instead of me and your daughter. I was confused. My mother pressured me, but now I know what I want. I want you and our daughter back home. Liar. Emily spat the word. You don't want anything. You are here because your mother ordered, because she wants to hide the family's shame. The lady in black advanced. Enough theater. Either you hand over that child now, or we are going to take her by force. And this family here, she pointed to me, to Mama, to Daddy, will pay dearly for hiding you. Emily looked at Mama, and I saw in her eyes all the love and gratitude in the world, then looked at Harper, kissed the girl's forehead, and spoke so low you could barely hear. Forgive me, my little one. Forgive me for not being strong enough. And before anyone could understand what was going to happen, Emily held out Harper to Mama. Take care of her. Take care of my girl. Don't let them take her to the orphanage. Mama took Harper in her arms, tears running down her face. Don't do this, Emily. Don't hand over your daughter. But Emily had already turned to the lady in black, face hard as stone. I will go with you, but on one condition. My daughter stays here with this family. You don't touch her. This is the moment that truly breaks your heart. Emily didn't just step out of the shadows. She stepped into a living nightmare to save her daughter, making the kind of sacrifice that leaves a mark on your soul forever. Ask yourself, how far would you go to save the one you love? The lady in black smiled victoriously. You aren't in a position to make demands, girl. I am so. Emily replied, lifting her head. Either I go willingly, or you are going to have to drag me screaming from here, and then everyone will know what kind of people you are. The silence that fell on that yard was so heavy, you could hear even the wind passing in the leaves of the oak tree. Emily stood there, trembling all over, but with chin up, defying all those people. And Mama held Harper in her arms, the girl crying softly, without understanding anything of what was happening. Liam took a step forward, hand extended. Emily, it doesn't need to be like this. Come home, bring the girl too. I convinced my mother. She accepted. The lady in black turned to him with eyes flashing. I accepted nothing. That child does not enter the ranch, I already said. Mother, for the love of God, Liam shouted, and it was the first time he raised his voice. She is my daughter, my legitimate daughter. I have the right to raise her, right? The lady in black spat the word. You gave up every right when you married this, nobody without our approval. Now, deal with the consequences. Emily looked at Liam with that look that mixed sadness and anger, all together. See how your mother is? And you want me to return to that hell? That I put my daughter in that middle? I can change things, Emily. I swear it. Just come back. Emily didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just shook her head with a terrifying calmness. Your promises are dust, Liam. You vowed to love me in sickness and in health, to protect me. But the moment the wind blew hard, you didn't just let go, you threw me to the wolves. I saw a tear run down his face, but he didn't answer. Had nothing to answer. The truth was there, naked and raw for everyone to see. My, oh my. He looked polished on the outside, didn't he? But his backbone must have been made of papier-mâché. A man who lets his mama hold the reins of his life is worse than a villain. He loved his wife, sure, but that cowardly kind of love don't save nobody, it just heaps more suffering on the womenfolk. The man in the suit, who must have been a lawyer or something, cleared his throat. Let's resolve this with civility. The girl returns, the child stays temporarily with this family until we resolve the legal situation. Then we decide the best destiny for her. No, Mama spoke firmly, squeezing Harper against her chest. This girl isn't a problem to be resolved. She is a child who needs a mother. And if her mother can't stay, then she stays with who can care for her with love. The lady in black laughed in that way, mirthless. Love. Love doesn't fill a belly. Love doesn't pay for school. That child will grow up in misery, without a future, without anything. Better misery with love than wealth without a heart, Mama replied. Does it seem strange to you? Why would folks with money to burn leave their own flesh and blood in a backwoods shack? It's because to them, little Harper wasn't a grandchild. She was evidence of their shame. Leaving her behind was their way of scrubbing the stain clean without getting their hands dirty. The cruelty of the rich is sometimes colder than a Missouri winter. Emily approached slowly, eyes fixed on Harper, who reached her little arms to her crying. She took the girl in her arms one last time, kissed her forehead, little nose, little hands, tears running down her face, falling on Harper's little head. "My little one," she whispered, voice breaking. "Mama loves you more than anything in this world, more than life itself. Everything I'm doing is to protect you. One day, when you grow up, you will understand." She pressed a small, frantic kiss to the baby's palm and closed Harper's tiny fingers around it, as if sealing a promise that only the two of them would ever know. Harper grabbed Emily's hair with her little hands, laughing between tears, without knowing that was a goodbye. My heart tightened so much I thought it was going to stop beating. I was a child, but I understood perfectly what was happening. A mother was being separated from her daughter. Emily handed Harper back to Mama, and it was as if a piece of her was ripped out, her body hunched. The cry came out so strong it made even the lady in black look away uncomfortable. "Mrs. Sarah," Emily managed to speak between sobs, "you were always more of a mother to me than my own mother. Take care of my Harper. Teach her to be strong, to be dignified, not to bow down to people who think they can buy everything with money." Mama couldn't speak, just cried in silence, nodding her head. Emily turned to me, knelt in front of me, held my face with both hands. "Sadie, you are Harper's sister now. Take care of her, play with her, protect her. Promise?" "I promise," I managed to whisper, throat tight with crying. She hugged me tight, and I felt her trembling all over. Then she got up, wiped her tears with the back of her hand, and walked toward the truck. "Wait," Daddy spoke suddenly. Went to the shed and came back with a small bundle. "Take this. It's little, but it's what we have." Emily opened the bundle and saw it was cash. Some crumpled, sweaty bills that Daddy had saved during months of hard work. She tried to return it, but Daddy closed her hands around the money. "Take it. You will need it more than us." Emily hugged my father, and I saw him get stiff, uncomfortable, but then rub her back in an awkward affection. It was his way of saying she had become family, even if he had never said it out loud. Liam tried to hold Emily's arm when she passed by him, but she pulled away with a dry yank. "Don't touch me. You lost that right." She got in the truck, sat in the back seat, and looked out the window one last time at Harper. The girl was crying in Mama's lap, reaching out her little arms, calling for the one who had been everything to her since she was born. The truck started moving, kicking up dust. Emily didn't take her eyes off the window, looking back until we became a small dot in the distance. And when the truck disappeared around the bend in the road, it was as if they had taken the sunlight away. The dust on the road settled that day, but it settled on my young soul like gray ash. I realized then that the world ain't fair, and sometimes the good folks don't always win. It hurts, children. It's the deep, aching pain of being helpless. Mama fell to her knees on the dirt ground, hugging Harper, crying so loud she scared the chickens in the yard. Daddy stood there, hat in hand, looking at the empty road, jaw locked, and I, small as I was, felt an anger so big inside my chest it scared me. Anger at those rich people who thought they could destroy lives just because they had money. Anger at Liam, who didn't have the courage to fight for his wife and daughter. Anger at the world that allowed things like this to happen. Harper cried for days, cried looking for Emily, cried when she saw the corner where she slept, cried when she smelled her on the clothes. Mama tried to console, rocked, sang, but nothing worked. The girl wanted her mother, and there was no explanation that would make her understand why her mother had gone away. I assumed the role of big sister with all the strength I had, carried Harper everywhere, invented games, made faces to see her smile. At night, when she woke up crying, I was the first to get up, picked her up, walked with her around the back room until she went back to sleep. Mama lost a lot of weight in those weeks, worked double to manage to buy milk because Harper was still nursing and now didn't have Emily's milk. Daddy took every extra job that appeared, came back late, exhausted, but always with something for the girl. A piece of molasses candy, a fruit, anything he could manage to get. And even with all the difficulty, even with all the pain, life continued. Because a poor person's life is like that. No time to stop and suffer properly. Have to keep going, have to work, have to survive. But at night, when everyone slept, I heard Mama crying softly in her room and knew she was thinking of Emily, wondering if she had done the right thing, if that girl who had become a daughter of the heart was okay. Harper grew, but grew different. Was a quieter child, sadder, as if carrying inside her the pain of having been separated from her mother so early. Mama said children don't remember anything, but I knew Harper remembered in the body, in the heart, even if her head didn't keep any image. And that was how we learned to live with that hole in the middle of the house, the hole that Emily had left when she went away, a hole that would never be filled completely, no matter how much love we put inside there. Harper grew, transformed from baby to little girl, then to a child who already walked, already talked, already had her own will. But Emily never returned, nor sent word, nor a letter, nothing. It was as if she had disappeared from the world. Mama suffered silently. I saw her looking at the road sometimes in the late afternoon, as if expecting to see Emily appear suddenly. But the road remained empty, just with dust and wind, nothing more. Harper called me sister, called Mama grandma, called Daddy grandpa. She didn't remember Emily, or at least didn't talk about her. She was too small when her mother went away. But sometimes, when she saw some woman from afar with similar hair, she kept looking in that strange way, as if something inside her recognized something her head couldn't reach. Life continued hard, as it always was. Daddy worked until his hands bled. Mama washed clothes for others until her fingers were raw flesh. I helped in everything, and still took care of Harper as if she were my real doll. Took her to the creek, taught her to wash clothes, showed where the sweetest blackberries were, told bedtime stories for her to sleep. Harper was a beautiful girl, with those clear eyes that shone like precious stones when the sun hit. Her hair had grown brown, full of curls that Mama combed every morning. Was a sweet child, obedient, but had a sadness deep in her gaze that had no explanation. A sadness of someone who lost something important but doesn't quite know what. It was when Harper was already more grown up that something happened that changed everything again. I had gone to the village to get flour for Mama and was returning by the dirt road when I saw a woman sitting under a tree. She was thin, with dirty and torn clothes, messy hair falling on her face. Passed by her without paying much attention. But something made me look back, and when I looked properly, my heart almost stopped. It was Emily. I dropped the sack of flour on the ground and ran to her. The world seemed to tip sideways. Emily. The name was a prayer, a warning, a ghost made solid. My heart, which had guarded her memory like a saint's relic, now felt like a raw wound. I didn't see the familiar, scared young woman who had clung to Mama. I saw a shadow. She was unrecognizable. Her face was thin, with deep circles, lips cracked. She had purple marks on her neck, arms, and eyes, those eyes that before shone with life, now were extinguished, without any light. "Miss Emily, it's you." "Sadie," she managed to say, voice hoarse. "You grew so much." The sound of her voice, so broken, shattered the hope I hadn't even realized I was still carrying. "What happened to you? Why are you here like this?" Emily tried to smile, but it was more a grimace of pain. I ran away. Couldn't take living there anymore. They locked me up. Sadie. Beat me when I talked about Harper. Said I had to forget, that I had to accept my place. I felt an anger so big I wanted to scream. "Come with me. Come home. Mama will take care of you." "I can't. They will look for me. If they find me at your house again, they will hurt your family. I came just to see Harper from afar, just to be sure she is okay. She is okay, growing beautiful, strong. Mama takes care of her as if she were her own daughter." Tears ran down Emily's bruised face. I knew Mrs. Sarah would take good care of my girl, but I miss her so much. Sadie, miss her so much it hurts physically. Doesn't go away, then stay. Come back home with us. Emily shook her head, crying coming out stronger. "I can't. If I return, they will take Harper from you. Will put her in an orphanage just to punish me. It's better this way. Better I stay away." I stood there, not knowing what to do, seeing that woman who had been so important to my family, shattered like that. "Where are you going?" "Going far away. To a very far place? I have an aunt in Chicago who doesn't even know I exist. But I'll try to find her. Need to disappear from the map. But you are sick, hurt, in no condition to travel like this." Emily got up with difficulty, holding onto the tree not to fall. "I can take it, have to take it, but do a favor for me, Sadie. Tell Harper about me when she grows up. Tell her that her mother loved her more than everything, that everything I did was to protect her. Promise? I promise, I spoke, voice choked with crying. Emily hugged me and I felt how thin she was, bones showing under the clothes, smelled of sweat, earth, suffering. You are a good girl, Sadie. Will be a strong woman. Take care of my Harper for me. I wanted to drag her back home right then and there, wanted to scream and make her stay. But looking into those tired eyes, I knew she was protecting us one last time. If she stayed, and they found her again, they'd take Harper for sure. Emily chose a lonely death on the road, just so her daughter could live in peace under our roof. And she went away, walking slowly down the road, limping, leaning on pieces of wood. Seeing Emily broken like that is hard to stomach, isn't it? It's a harsh reminder that not every hero gets a happy ending. But her walk down that lonely road paved the way for Harper's future. Don't go anywhere, because the legacy of this goodbye is just beginning. I stayed there watching her disappear around the bend, and something inside me knew that that was the last time I would see Emily. When I got home, Mama noticed right away that something had happened. What is it? Looked like you saw a ghost. I told everything, every word Emily had said, every mark I had seen on her body. Mama sat in the chair, as if her legs had given way, put her hand on her mouth and cried. I should have fought more, she spoke between sobs. Should have stopped her from going away with those people. You did what you could, Mama. Emily chose to go to protect us, to protect Harper. Daddy, when he found out, stayed in silence for a long time, then went to the shed and stayed there, hammering, hitting things with an anger that was his, but also ours, all of ours, who had no power to change that unfair situation. Harper was playing in the yard with a rag doll Mama had made. Didn't know anything, didn't understand the drama we lived because of her, was an innocent child, happy the way a poor child can be happy, with little, but with love. Mama decided on that day that Harper would never know the complete truth while she was small. She is too young to carry this weight. When she grows up, when she has maturity, then we tell, and that was what we did. Harper grew up thinking she was a real granddaughter, that she had been born there, that that was her blood family, and in a certain way it was. Because family isn't just who gives birth, it's who raises, who loves, who stays when everyone leaves. Years continued passing. Harper turned into a young lady, beautiful, polite, with that sweet way that won everyone over. Learned to read and write in the little school in the village, was one of the best students. Mama was proud of her, said she was a smart girl, that she would go far in life. But I kept that secret inside me, like a thorn buried in flesh. The secret of having seen Emily that day, hurt, fleeing, going away, never to return, kept the words she had told me, the promise she had made me make. Once in a while, when Harper asked about her mother, because children always ask, Mama told a story by half, said her mother had been a good girl, who had loved her very much, but had to go away for reasons a child doesn't need to know. And Harper accepted that with the simplicity only a child has, without questioning much, without poking the wound. But I knew one day I would have to tell the whole truth. One day Harper would grow up, would ask harder questions, would want to know where she came from, who her real mother had been. And on that day, I would have to fulfill the promise I had made to Emily that afternoon under the tree. The promise to tell that she had been loved, that everything had been sacrifice, not abandonment. And mother's love sometimes hurts so much that the only way to protect is distancing oneself, even if that tears the heart to pieces. Some time passed after that meeting on the road. Harper kept growing, every day more like her mother. I helped Mama with everything and took care of Harper as if she were my real little sister. The girl was beautiful, full of life, a dreamer, already spoke perfectly, played in the yard, ran after the chickens. It was on a Sunday after church that Miss Dorothy, the midwife who had helped Harper be born, came to our house. She was serious, with that look of someone bringing bad news, asked to speak to Mama in private, and the two moved away to the corner of the yard. I was hanging clothes on the line, but could see from afar. I saw Mama bring her hand to her mouth, saw her legs wobble, saw Miss Dorothy holding her by the shoulders, and knew in that instant that something had happened to Emily. When Miss Dorothy left, Mama entered the house with red, swollen eyes, called Daddy to the room, closed the door, and they stayed inside, talking low for a long time. When they came out, Daddy had a hard face, jaw locked in that way he got when he was holding back emotion. "Sadie, come here," Mama called me. I went to her with my heart already tight, already knowing I was going to hear something terrible. Mama took me to the back room, far from Harper, who was playing in the yard. "Emily died," she said directly, without beating around the bush. Tears ran down her face, but her voice was firm. Miss Dorothy heard it from a cousin who nurses at a charity hospital up in Street Lewis. She said Emily never made it to Chicago. She arrived at the ward delirious with fever, her body battered and broken. The doctors did what they could, but she was too far gone. Whatever she had been running from, or running to, it had taken everything she had left. I felt the ground disappear under my feet. Even knowing Emily was bad when I had seen her on that road, even imagining something bad could happen, hearing she had died was like taking a punch in the stomach. "How did she die?" I managed to ask. Said it was infection, wounds that inflamed, took over the whole body. But Miss Dorothy heard from hospital folks that she had marks of beating, of torture. That family killed her slowly, Sadie, killed her with so much suffering. I fell sitting on the floor. My legs wouldn't hold me anymore. Emily had died alone, far from her daughter, far from who loved her, had died without seeing Harper grow, without being able to hug the girl one more time, without being able to say goodbye properly. "And Harper?" I asked. "Are we going to tell?" Mama shook her head, wiping tears with the hem of her apron. "No, she is too young still. Won't understand. Will just suffer without knowing why properly. When she grows up more, when she is old enough to comprehend, then we tell everything." That night I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking of Emily, of that woman who had arrived at our door, soaked in rain, pregnant, desperate. Thought about how she had loved Harper with that intensity that hurts, that tears. Thought about how she had sacrificed everything, her own happiness, her own life, to protect her daughter. Mama ordered a mass, said for Emily's soul. She couldn't speak her name out loud, couldn't let the village folks know the whole story. But she prayed in silence, lit a candle, and asked God to have mercy on that suffering soul. Daddy, in his quiet way, made a wooden cross and buried it at the bottom of the yard, under the dogwood tree. It didn't have a name carved upon it, but we knew who it was for. It was his way of honoring Emily, of giving her the resting place she hadn't had in the capital. It's a tragic end for a woman who deserved so much better, dying alone so her daughter wouldn't have to suffer. That nameless cross in the backyard finally makes sense now. It wasn't just wood. It was a silent monument to a mother's undying love, a nameless grave, hidden beneath an old tree. Sounds pitiful, doesn't it? But I reckon resting there in the warm embrace of Mother Earth, right beside the folks who truly loved her, is 1,000 times better than lying in some cold marble mausoleum with that heartless family. As I stood before that silent mound of earth, a young girl whose childhood had been eclipsed by a profound, cruel secret, I made a vow. It was a silent, unbreakable promise, made not just to Emily, but to the strong, kind woman Mama had taught me to be. I would not let her sacrifice be in vain. I knelt, my hands touching the rough wood of the cross. "I promise, Emily," I whispered into the still air. "I will keep your memory alive. I will raise Harper with every piece of love you gave up, and when the time is right, I will tell her the truth. I will give her back her mother's story." The secret became my sacred trust, the heaviest, most meaningful burden a girl could bear. Harper noticed there was something different in the house. We were quieter, sadder. She asked what had happened, but Mama changed the subject, invented it was tiredness, worry about money, and Harper accepted. In the innocent way a child accepts things. Months passed slowly, heavy. The house seemed emptier, even though Emily wasn't there. It was as if we had lost her twice. Once when she went away in that truck, another when we learned she had died. Mama started telling more stories about Harper's mother. Didn't say Emily had died, but spoke of her as if she were a person who was far away traveling. "Your mother was a beautiful woman, brave, loved you more than anything." And Harper listened to those stories with eyes shining, keeping every word as if it were treasure. It was around this time I started to understand for real what Mama had done. She hadn't just sheltered a stranger, had defended a mother and daughter against powerful people, had risked her own family to do what was right. And that courage to face those who had money and power because of love and justice, was the greatest lesson she could have given me. Harper grew more and more like Emily, had the same delicate way of walking, the same smile that lit up the whole face. And sometimes, when she laughed, I saw Emily there alive, present in the daughter she had left. Daddy spoke little about the subject, but I saw him looking at Harper with special affection. That girl he hadn't wanted to stay in our house had conquered his heart completely. He saved the best pieces of food for her, fixed broken toys, carried her on his back when she got tired of walking. Life continued because life always continues. But now, we carried the weight of that death, the weight of knowing Emily had suffered until the last breath, that she had died without justice, without peace. And we also carried the responsibility of caring for Harper, of making the sacrifice Emily had made worth it. I promised myself, in front of that nameless cross Daddy had made, that I would tell everything to Harper when the time came, that I would make the girl understand she hadn't been abandoned, that she had been protected, that mother's love sometimes shows exactly like this, in the pain of staying away, in the sacrifice of letting go, to ensure the daughter has the chance to be happy, and Harper would be happy. This we guaranteed. She would be happy, would be strong, would be everything Emily had dreamed she would be, because that was the only way to honor that woman who had given her life for her daughter, making the daughter live fully, with love, with dignity, with joy. Emily had departed, but had left Harper, and Harper was living proof that true love never dies completely, stays there breathing, growing, living through those we love and leave behind. Years passed slowly, but never stopping. Harper stopped being a child and turned into a young lady, already quite grown when she started asking harder questions, questions that couldn't be dodged with half-truths anymore. "Grandma Sarah, why did my mother never come back to see me? Not once? Not a letter?" she asked one afternoon while helping Mama peel potatoes for supper. Mama stopped with the knife in the air, looked at me asking for help with her eyes. I was sitting in the corner mending old clothes and felt the weight of that question fall on us like a millstone. "Your mother had her reasons, Harper. They were big, complicated reasons," Mama answered slowly, choosing each word with care. "But what reasons are those that make a mother abandon a tiny daughter? Did I do something wrong? Was I no good?" Mama's heart almost broke right there. You could see by the way she dropped the potato and pulled Harper into a tight hug. "Don't say that ever, child. Never. You were always a perfect, wonderful child. Your mother loved you more than her own life. What happened had nothing to do with you. Then what was it?" Mama looked at me again, and I knew the time had come, the time to start telling the truth, even if it hurt, even if it was difficult. Harper wasn't a little kid anymore who accepted any explanation. She was a young woman who deserved to know where she came from. "Sit here, Harper," I said, patting the bench beside me. "Time has come for you to know some things." And I told about that stormy night when Emily had knocked on our door, pregnant, soaked, desperate. Told about how Mama had sheltered her even with Daddy complaining. Told about Harper's birth, about the months Emily had stayed with us, about how she cared for her daughter with that love that overflowed. Harper listened silently, eyes wide, hands clutching the hem of her dress. "Your mother was from a rich family, Harper, married to a landowner's son, but his family didn't accept her, thought she wasn't good enough. When you were born, they came to get her. Wanted to take your mother back, but leave you in an orphanage." "And she let them?" Harper asked, voice trembling. "She did the opposite. She went away to protect you. Knew if she stayed, they would find a way to take you from us. So she sacrificed herself, went back to that hell to ensure you stayed here. Safe, loved." Tears started running down Harper's face. "Where is she now? Can I go see her?" Mama knelt in front of Harper, held the girl's hands with hers, calloused and tired. "She passed away. When you were still very small, her body couldn't take so much suffering. But before passing, she made me promise I would raise you with love, that I would teach you to be strong. And that's what we did." Harper broke down crying. It wasn't a child's cry. It was the cry of a young woman discovering an ancient pain, a wound that had been there all along, but she didn't know existed. Mama hugged her, and I joined too. And we stayed there, the three of us crying together for the woman who had sacrificed everything for love. After that day, Harper changed. She became quieter, more thoughtful. Spent hours sitting under the dogwood tree, looking at the nameless cross Daddy had made. Sometimes I saw her talking alone and knew she was talking to Emily, talking to the mother she had never known properly. But something also grew inside her, a determination, a strength she didn't have before. "I'm going to study, Aunt Sadie," she told me one night. "Going to be a teacher like I always wanted. Going to make my mother proud of me, even her not being here to see." And that's what she did. Studied at night after helping with house chores, borrowed books from the little school, memorized everything she could. She was a brilliant student, one of those the teachers pointed out as an example. Mama started selling more cornbread at the market. Daddy took more repair jobs, and I washed clothes to help, all to gather money for Harper's schooling, because now she had a dream, and we were going to do everything for that dream to become reality. Harper also started asking more about Emily, wanted to know what she was like, how she talked, what she liked, and Mama told with all affection, painting the image of a strong, brave woman who had faced the whole world for love of her daughter. "She sang to you every night," Mama recounted, "had a beautiful, soft voice, sang those songs we didn't even know, city songs, and you slept in her lap happy as can be." Harper kept every story as if it were a precious jewel. And little by little, even without having known her mother properly, she built an image of Emily in her heart, an image of love, of sacrifice, of courage. Years continued passing. Harper graduated from the little school with the best grades, got a scholarship to study in the city, became a real teacher, came back every weekend to the shack, brought gifts for us, told about her students. Daddy had aged, back was more curved, hands shook when holding the leather sewing needle. Mama was also weaker, tired from working so much. But when they saw Harper arriving in a pretty dress, with books under her arm, both their eyes shone with pride. "Your mother would be proud of you." Mama always spoke. Everything she wanted was for you to have a better life than hers. And Harper had achieved it. Had achieved it not because of money or family name, but because of her own effort, determination, love she had received from poor people, but with giant hearts. One day, Harper arrived home accompanied by a young man. Was a good lad, hard-working, carpenter, had a shop in the city. Introduced him to us with cheeks red from shame, but eyes shining with happiness. "This is Mason. Grandma, we want to get married." Mama looked at the lad, asked those questions mothers ask, and then hugged Harper tight. "Your mother would be happy to see you find someone good, Harper, someone who respects you, who loves you truly." The wedding was simple, in the little chapel in the village, but it was beautiful. Harper was lovely in a white dress she herself had sewn with wildflowers in her hair. Mason looked at her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. And when the preacher asked who gave the bride, Harper looked at Mama and Daddy and said loud for everyone to hear, "Who gives me are my grandparents who raised me with so much love, and my mother Emily, who even not being here, has always been in my heart." Not a dry eye in that church. Even Daddy, tough as he always was, wiped a tear hidden. It's a moment of pure triumph, isn't it? Emily walked away into the darkness so her daughter could stand in this light, proving that a mother's love can survive even the cruelest separation. But the story isn't quite over yet. Sadie is holding on to one last secret in her trunk, a final message from the past that's waiting to be delivered. After the wedding, Harper went to live in the city with Mason, had beautiful children, healthy and happy kids, and Harper raised her children telling the story of Grandma Emily, the brave woman who had sacrificed everything for love. The story that could have been of abandonment became a story of love, of sacrifice, of a mother who loved so much she was capable of stepping away to protect, and of a poor family that showed that love has nothing to do with money, but has everything to do with heart. Today, sitting here on the porch of my simple little house, with hair all white and hands full of wrinkles, I look back and see how life is full of turns we never imagine. Mama passed away about 20 years ago, went sleeping peacefully after a whole life of hard work. Daddy went after her 2 years later, as if he couldn't stand being without his companion of so many years. Are buried there in the village cemetery, side by side, the way they lived their whole life. Sometimes I go there to visit their grave, bring wildflowers, talk to them as if they were still alive, thank them for teaching me what really matters in this life. It's not money, it's not position, it's not family name, it's love, it's dignity, it's doing what's right, even when doing right hurts. Harper comes to visit me every week, is already a mature woman, with gray strands in her hair, but continues with that sweet smile that lights up any place. Her children are already grown, some even with their own children, and all of them know the story of Emily, the great-grandmother they never met, but who is part of the family. Aunt Sadie, Harper told me the other day, holding my wrinkled hand with hers. Sometimes I think about how my life would have been if my mother hadn't knocked on that door that stormy night. If Grandma Sarah hadn't opened it, would have been very different. I replied, probably you would have grown up in an orphanage, or worse, with people who didn't love you truly. That's why I give thanks every day. Give thanks for my mother finding you. Give thanks for Grandma Sarah having the courage to face those powerful people. Give thanks for you taking care of me like a sister. Conversations like that make me think about how the choices we make change not only our life, but the lives of many people. Mama could have closed that door that night, had every right to have closed it. We were too poor, had nothing to share. But she chose to open, chose to extend a hand, and that choice changed everything. I never married, never had my own children, but I don't feel alone. Harper and her children are my family. Her grandkids call me Grandma Sadie, climb in my lap, even me being too old to hold a child's weight. And I tell them the same stories Mama told me about kindness, about love, about doing what is right. Sometimes I think of Emily. Think of that beautiful girl who arrived at our door pregnant and scared. Think of how she loved Harper with that intensity that hurts. Think of how she sacrificed everything, happiness, health, her own life to protect her daughter. Does she know there on the other side where souls go, how her daughter turned into an incredible woman? Does she see Harper teaching children at school, raising her own children with love and affection? I like to believe so. Like to believe that Emily is in peace, knowing her sacrifice was worth it. There is one thing I never told anyone, not even Harper. That afternoon, when I met Emily on the road, hurt and fleeing, she gave me something. Took from her neck a thin gold chain with a small gold cross. Keep this for Harper when she grows up, Emily had asked. It's the only thing of value I still have. Belonged to my mother. Want my daughter to have it. I kept that cross all these years, hidden at the bottom of my trunk, waiting for the right moment to hand it over. And I think that moment is coming. Harper is having a birthday next week. Will complete another year of life. Think it's time to give her this last memory of her mother. Life taught me that true love isn't the one that stays close all the time, that suffocates, that binds. Sometimes, true love is the one that knows how to step away when needed, that protects from afar, that suffers in silence so the other can be happy. It was like that with Emily, was like that with Mama too, in her way. I look at these rich families today, with their big houses and beautiful cars, and think of that Mr. Arthur and that lady in black who came to get Emily. Did they sleep well at night after everything they did? Did all the money compensate for the malice, the cruelty? We never knew exactly what happened to that family. Heard Mr. Arthur died some years later, that the ranch was divided among the children, that there was fighting over inheritance, things of people who have a lot and don't know how to share. Liam, Emily's husband, they say married again with a girl of the same social class, had other children, but we never saw him around these parts again. Sometimes I ask myself if he thinks of Emily, if he has remorse for choosing money instead of love, if he knows the daughter he rejected turned into a wonderful woman, respected teacher, loving mother. But these are questions that have no answer, and maybe it's better that way. What I know, what I learned in all these years of life, is that we don't need much to be happy. Don't need a big house, expensive clothes, plentiful food. What we really need is love, respect, dignity. Need to wake up in the morning knowing we did right, that we helped who needed it, that we didn't turn our backs on others suffering. Mama taught me that. Taught that at a poor man's table, even water turns to soup when there is love. Taught that we share the little we have, because that's what real people do. Taught that family isn't just blood. It's who stays, who cares, who loves even when it's hard. And Emily also taught me that mother's love is the strongest thing that exists in this world. Stronger than money, stronger than power, stronger even than life itself. Emily died for love, died so Harper could live. Today, when I look at Harper with her grandkids, when I see her laugh and hug those children with so much affection, I know it wasn't in vain. Nothing was in vain. Emily's suffering, Mama's sacrifice, everything served for something. Served so an innocent child could grow up loved, protected, happy. And that's what matters in the end. Harper's birthday arrived on a sunny day. She came to visit me with the whole family. The Mason, who was already gray, but still looked at her with the same love as always. The 3 adult children and the 5 grandkids who filled my little house with noise and joy. I prepared a simple lunch: rice, beans, country-style chicken the neighbor had given me, stuffing. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was made with care. Harper helped set the table just the way she did when she was a girl, and the grandkids ran around the yard playing tag. After lunch, when everyone was sitting on the porch talking and laughing, I went to the room and opened the old trunk that kept my few valuable things. Way at the bottom, wrapped in a piece of clean cloth, was the gold cross. I picked it up with trembling hands. It had been so many years I kept that waiting for the right moment. And now, sensing my days were numbered, I knew I couldn't wait any longer. Returned to the porch with the little bundle in my hand. "Harper, come here a little," called softly. She got up curious, followed me to the corner of the yard, where the nameless cross stood under the dogwood tree. The cross Daddy had made for Emily so many years ago, now worn by time, covered in moss. "There is something I kept for you all these years," I began, voice failing. "Your mother gave me this that afternoon when I met her for the last time on the road. She asked me to keep it until you were ready." Put the bundle in Harper's hands. She opened it slowly, and when she saw the gold cross with the image, tears began to fall. "This belonged to your mother's mother," I explained. "It's the only thing of value Emily had, and she wanted you to have it. Said it was for you to remember where you came from. Remember you were loved." Harper held the cross against her chest, sobbing. "Why did you wait so long to give it to me?" "Because I wanted to be sure you were strong enough to carry this memory without it breaking you. Wanted you to have already built your own life, your own family, so that this pain from the past wouldn't put out the light of your present." She hugged me so tight she almost knocked me over, and there, hugged under that dogwood, we cried together for the woman who had sacrificed everything, for the mother Harper had barely known, for the story of love and pain that had united us forever. Mason approached, worried, seeing his wife crying. Harper showed the cross to him, told what I had just revealed, and I saw in his eyes the same respect and admiration I felt for Emily. "Your mother was a very brave woman," he said to Harper, putting his arm around her. "Did what few people would have courage to do." Harper's children also approached, curious, and there, in that simple yard, under the dogwood, I told them all, for the last time, the complete story, from that stormy night until the day Emily had departed. Every detail, every suffering, every difficult choice. The older grandkids listened in silence, eyes wide. The youngest, tiny still, didn't understand much, but stayed quiet in his father's lap, feeling the importance of that moment. Grandma Sadie, Harper's oldest daughter, asked, "Why was that family so cruel to great-grandma Emily? Just because she wasn't rich? Because there are people in this world who think money is more important than love, that social position is worth more than human dignity. They are people who have everything, but have nothing because they don't have a heart. But did they pay for what they did?" another grandson asked. I thought well before answering. "Child, life has a way of charging for things. That family lost the chance to know your mother, to see her grow and become this wonderful woman she is. Lost the chance to know you, the great-grandkids. Lived with money, but without true love. To me, that is already punishment enough." Harper put the cross around her neck with hands still trembling. Looked perfect on her, as if it had been made to measure. And when she looked at me again, I saw in those clear eyes not just her, but Emily too, as if the mother was there present through the daughter, finally at peace. "Thank you, Aunt Sadie," she whispered. "Thank you for having kept this. Thank you for having kept my mother's story. Thank you for helping me be who I am. No need to thank. You are the best of all of us. Of your mother. Of Grandma Sarah. Of me too. You are the proof that true love doesn't die, just transforms and continues living through the people we love." And finally, the circle is complete. Harper carries the legacy of 2 mothers, one who gave her life and one who gave her a home. It's a beautiful testament that family isn't just about blood. It's about who stands by you when the world walks away. That afternoon, sitting all together in the yard, Harper started telling her children and grandkids stories I had told her about Emily, and the little ones listened fascinated, keeping in their heart the memory of a great-grandmother they never met, but who was part of them. I saw in that moment how the story had completed itself. Emily had given her life for love. Mama and Daddy had given years of hard work for love. I had dedicated my life to caring for Harper for love, and Harper now passed that love forward to children and grandkids, multiplying what she had received. When the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, the family prepared to return to the city. But before leaving, Harper planted a rose bush right next to the cross, nameless. "It's for my mother," she explained, "so that every time I come here, there are beautiful flowers to leave for her." I stood there on the porch, watching them drive away Harper, with that cross shining against her skin, her grandchildren waving from the car windows. A peace so deep settled in my chest that I felt light, as if I were floating. I had fulfilled my mission. I had honored the promise I made to Emily on that dusty road so many years ago. That night, lying on my old pallet, listening to the crickets sing the same song they sang when I was a girl, I thanked God. I thanked Him for the hard life, for the struggles that forged us, and for the love that saved us. And for the first time in decades, I dreamed of Emily. She wasn't sick or beaten. She was vibrant, healthy, and smiling. In her arms, she held a baby Harper, but she was looking at me. She waved, a gentle goodbye, letting me know she was finally at peace. I woke up with the sun streaming through the window, knowing my time here is nearly done, and I am ready. I know that when I close my eyes for the last time, I will find Mama waiting with that wide smile and open arms. I will find Daddy, twisting his straw hat in his hands, awkward but happy. And I will find Emily, free from all suffering, knowing her daughter is well. To you listening to my story, keep this in your heart. Be the person who opens the door. Be the person who chooses love over fear, even when you have nothing to offer but shelter from the storm. Because in the end, looking back at 78 years of life, I learned that true wealth isn't in your pocket, it's in your chest. It's knowing you made a difference. Well, my story ends here. I want you to hold on to this one thing. The true value of life is not in money or big houses, but in the choices we have made. Just like my mama chose to open the door on that stormy night. Just like my daddy chose to protect. Each one of us chose love instead of fear. And that small choice changed the destiny of an entire generation. When we look back on our lives, what truly matters is, did we dare to love? Did we dare to help? Did we leave the world a little better than we found it? Friends, be the one who opens that door. Be the one who chooses love, no matter how cold the world gets. Because a small act of kindness has infinite power. True love never dies. It only continues to live through our actions. If this story has touched your heart, please hit the subscribe button right now. Your support is our motivation to tell many more meaningful stories about kindness and humanity. Thank you for listening. See you next time.